All right, let's call the regular session in the Richmond Exempted Village School District Board of Education meeting back in session. First thing on the agenda is it is recommended the Board of Education approve the following additions, changes, deletions to the Board of Education agenda. Or approval of the agenda, sorry. No recommendations or changes or anything.
No changes.
So, can I get a motion?
Also move.
Second.
Who's second? Sorry.
Mrs. Story. Ms. Story.
Okay.
All right, roll call.
All right, Mr. Default?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmer?
Yes. All right, public participation. Anybody? Jeff? All right, committee reports. First committee, Grant Career Center.
Grant Career Center, I'll take that one. Our last meeting in April, or in May, I'm sorry. We had a report out from a bunch of the students, participants, and also the staff that went on a service learning event down to Hazard, Kentucky the week of April 19th to the 21st. Very positive experience for them, and they plan on doing it again. Said it was very well received down there, and it was a great learning experience for them. So they really spoke highly of it. So we planning to do that again probably next year. Did our 5-year forecast, got it approved. Filled a position, Director of Student Services, Phil Heflin, he resigned from up there, retired basically from up there. Kenny Holtzclaw used to be here at the district. He's the new Director of Student Services at Grant. And we did our approval of certified staff, substitutes, and supplementals for the 23-24 school year. Had some other minor business, but that's pretty much the highlights. Any questions?
Okay. Facilities.
That would be me. So we met, I think this week, last week. We had 3 items on the agenda. We had a company that we've done some business with, I think 10 or 12 years ago. They were called Energy Optimizers, and they came in and did some changing of lighting, some switches and things like that over the and Matt or Tracy helped me there. Or I think Tracy, you're going to talk a little bit about that in your superintendent's report. I don't know the dollar amount, but I know it was over $100,000 or so dollars that we ended up saving over the course of 10 years, 12 years. I can't remember, but. So they've come back to us, have done a survey, looking at some additional changes to some lighting, some switches. We do have a boiler at the high school that is beyond capacity, life expectancy. I think it's, the actual boiler was installed when the building was built back in 50-something. 64. That was before I was born, sorry. But they've done some work on the inside, but it has met its life expectancy as well as the one at Wolf's Corner. So they've given us some price tags to replace those, to replace new lighting in the district, as well as putting sensors on vending machines and things like that to kind of save the cost of energy when we're not using those. So I think Mr. Miller will share a little bit more about that.
Sure.
What that looks like.
Sure. We
can talk about it now.
Yeah. Sure. And you're correct. It's the boiler, high school, Locust Corner, interior, exterior lighting, and the vending machine timers would definitely recapture energy savings for the district. We've had good experience with them in the past. Like you mentioned, 10 years or so ago, we saved considerable amounts of money. To invest in these projects, it'd be approximately $1.2 million. $1.2 million, but then you begin to realize that with the saving that you take on from the use. Just for example, the boiler at the high school, it's decades past end of life, like you referenced. They won't be cheaper a year from now as opposed to what they are right now. And if the boiler goes out in December, we would be hard pressed to continue to have school in session without heat. The boilers choose when they choose to go out, right?
And I think he said we do have a backup boiler at the high school, but that's approximately 10 years old currently. So right now with the current boiler and the backup, they both are on their last leg.
Yep.
The project cost totals $1.2 million, and over the course of 20 years, it will result in $1.7 million in savings. So we turn around and net on that about $500,000 project scope in the positive.
So the facilities committee felt that all 5 aspects of the project were worthwhile and worth considering, all 5 aspects. We talked about we have right now $500,000 set aside for permanent improvement funds. Take $200,000 of that off the top, put that towards the project. If the unanimous board or the majority board would like to go with this, and that will leave us financing approximately $1 million. And then you bake into the facilities plan a yearly payment to pay off this debt until we get it paid down. We don't believe there's a penalty for early prepayment. That would certainly be our goal if we could, but it's money invested now to save money on the back end.
Plus, it increases our reliability from a heating perspective.
If you guys want to see that report, be more than welcome to share that.
I've got one too.
Then we also, at that time, we looked at the master facilities plan update. So over the course of the next few years, looking out what some of our big projects would be. Tim and I had talked a little bit too in regards to maybe doing something or adding something to this, a different document in regards to, because when you look at this, it doesn't go out and show the boiler replacement for the high school or Locust Corner for the next 5 years. So having a better understanding to help costs, save some money there, and the cost to maybe
An asset list is what we really need of each building, of the major assets that are in that building, whether it be air conditioning units and we track air conditioning units on there, but the boilers and stuff we didn't, and it kind of shocked me when they brought that to the table. 1964. I think still runs. Anyway, we need a list like that.
And then the third item on the agenda that night was just talking about our board policy in regards to naming facilities, athletic complexes, buildings, different things like that. So those were the 3 items that we discussed last week.
Okay. And the last committee report is business advisory.
That kind of a celebration at the end of the year. It's a wonderful committee. I've said several times, Mr. Wells joins us. We went over the 8th grade tour of Historic in Richmond. Again, it's always good to recap events like that, what we like, what we want to see changed. Mr. Moeller, the teacher who helped shepherd that from the middle school, was there and presented his feedback from the students. Very positive. They enjoyed it. It was very interactive. They're making the stations a little bit shorter and a little bit more moving around. Worked great with the downtown business district. Ms. Buskey from the library was just so instrumental in helping prepare this. So I think this is a nice thing we started a couple years ago. We're going to continue for the next, why not keep doing it? Our kids enjoy it. Let's connect them to their hometown. The next thing we did is Dr. Joe Hollingsworth led them through, and we're excited about this. We talked about this a little bit earlier, our new financial literacy class and how powerful and there's so much strength in this course. And we shared with our Business Advisory Council. It's going to be a new requirement for our sophomores next year, and talked about that. So, Mr. Chairman, that was a Business Advisory Council.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is superintendent's report.
So, unfortunately, we don't get to start off on a real positive note. Tragedy hit us again a few days ago, last Thursday. And I don't think I've ever used the word horrific more in a 4-day span than probably I have, and probably everybody in this room has these past 4 days. And it caused me to think, I don't think horrific is even a strong enough word. Maybe there is no word in the English language which really encapsulates what we're feeling and experiencing right now. Just 3 precious lives were taken too soon. We'll never understand why. This community, though, I'm finishing my 4th year, starting my 5th year, is so resilient. And I've got a couple quotes from members of this family without being named. One person said, "The love and support the community has shown this family is truly overwhelming." Another quote, there are not enough thank yous to go around for how much love and support we have received. So we need to keep doing it, because I know when things happen, it's fresh, the energy's there, the emotion's there, and you want to keep doing it. But some weeks and some months from now, the need and the hurt is still going to be there, and the aches are going to be there. So we just need to continue to help and support this family who's been devastated. So the two would like to take unless anybody else has something to say, and we'll have a moment of silence, and we can move on. Thank you.
And just an additional thing, and for those that are on Facebook, but I mean, the community's outpouring has been tremendous and just rallying around this family. But another opportunity, time to share the memories of the three boys, and then also thinking of the law enforcement officers who had to respond and the first responders. On June 25th, which is Sunday at 6 p.m., there is going to be a kind of a remembrance and talking about the good memories from the family, and that's going to be at Monroe Ball Fields. It's hosted by the New Richmond Youth Sports Association. So just wanted to share that with the community.
Thanks, Mr. Dunn. Very nice. I had a wonderful graduation ceremony a few weeks ago. It seems like it's been forever ago. It was just a few weeks ago, and the weather paid us back for how bad it was a year ago. The weather was beautiful. The kids were fantastic. The speeches were so on point, and just so proud of that senior class. So it's very nice. And the third thing is very happy, and Mrs. Story joined us for our OPSI negotiations. Our contract was due to expire. We've reached a tentative agreement, and we're still putting just the finishing I's dotted, T's crossed. My hope is to bring that to the board for approval at the July meeting. For transparency's sake, on the board docs, it will have the marked up version and the clean version, so everybody can easily see what's been changed from contract to contract. But we feel that it was very fair for both sides, which is what a contract is supposed to be. And really happy about that. It took 2 long days, but we got it done. Mr. Zimmerman, that's the superintendent's report.
Okay. All right, and next on the agenda is memorandum of understanding with FCFs.
Thanks so much. An annual thing that we do, and I shouldn't say that like we expect it to happen, because it's a grant that we apply for. And Calumet County Family and Children First, they are so gracious in working with us. They're going to supply us with $3,000 to our high school for suicide prevention activities for the 23-24 school year. So I'm asking for an approval on this memorandum of understanding.
Okay, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the memorandum of understanding with Claremont County Family and Children First as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Dufault?
Yes.
Okay, and item 8 on the agenda are board recommendations. So the first recommendation is superintendent contract. So in an amendment to the contract, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the superintendent contract amendment as presented.
So moved.
All right, Mr. Dufault.
Second.
Second, Mr. Wells. Discussion. Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Story?
Yes.
Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Mr. Dufault?
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, board recommendation is for the addendum to the treasurer contract. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the addendum to the treasurer's contract as presented.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Wells.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Dufault. Discussion. So if you read this is an opportunity for Mr. Pritchard to fulfill the treasurer contract. If you look at it, it's for 6 months at a time. We'll evaluate this, but it's to fill the role of treasurer as he has previously decided to move out of state, and it's just an opportunity to continue his service there while we also are looking at other options and other avenues, but this is what this addendum is for and what it covers. Anything to add, anybody?
I just would add that I think this is fairly common practice, at least in most of the industries represented at the table here, and we're thrilled to keep that in place. This is a difficult time. I don't think it's a great time to be looking for a new treasurer, so
I'm
we're thrilled to have you.
I'm thrilled to have you, really. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Default,
Yes.
Mrs. Story,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes. Human resource items.
The human resource consent agenda had a number of resignations these past 30 days, both certified and classified, and are enumerated here. One I would like to highlight is Mrs. Gawley has done a wonderful job at our middle school as a counselor, then a dean of students, and served many roles. She's moving to a district much closer to her house, and she's going to go back into counseling. So we saw this opportunity maybe to relook at how we do things. So instead of having a dean of students and separate as a middle school AD supplemental, we combined those into one position for a middle school assistant principal. So this is not a new head count. The cost is approximately the same of what we were paying before for those two services. So we're very excited about having Mr. Jason Lynch join us. The middle school, first of all, the middle school interview committees did a great job, sent us two great candidates. Turned out we went with Jason. He was our number one and just did a wonderful job. Comes to us as a high school math teacher and highly regarded, and has many leadership experiences in his background. So we're anxious to have him join our administrative team. Certified employees. The reason Elizabeth is in red is because, again, transparency to our public is important to all of us. This was added after the board agenda went live, so just so everyone knows, and she's going to be an English teacher at our high school. Met with her today. Happy to get a couple of bus drivers. We have a need for one of our nurses to go from half-time to full-time to meet the medical needs of one of our children. Requesting the board approve some extended days for our counselors and mental health support specialists. It's time to start talking about fall sports and athletics already, so everything's in red because everything's brand new. And just gonna flash through there, and it's all on board docs. The community is welcome to go in there and see who's going to be coaching your sons and daughters next year. An exempt contract recommendation for continuing who admit the timelines, and our summer school employees. Annually, we non-renew our classified subs, and then we rehire our classified subs, and that cleans up the list. So that's the new list. And then because we're adding in the middle school assistant principal, that's going to cause a revision to the administrative salary schedule. So it's a lot, but no huge items. So those are the human resource consent items, Mr. Zimmerman.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve items 9A through 9L.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Default with the second. All right, any discussion? Okay, roll call.
All right, Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Story,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Default.
Yes.
Oh, next item, second reading of handbooks. Everybody's quiet. Throw something at me.
You're hanging on your every word, Mr.
I was
Zimmerman.
just, I Miss Story was acting like she's cold.
It's a little cold.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yes.
second reading of the handbook.
Yes, just very minor change from last time. It was the people, Mrs. Gully leaving, a new assistant principal, a new counselor at the high school, and no AD. So those were the only substantive changes in the handbooks, please.
Okay. Upon second reading of handbooks, it is recommended the Board of Education approve said handbooks, which is for the elementaries, New Richmond Middle School, New Richmond High School, and the athletics. coach's handbook.
So moved.
So moved. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Default. Any discussion?
I just want to give kudos to Coach Kaz. I think he did an outstanding job, put a lot of effort into the coach's handbook.
Yeah.
So long overdue, so I want to give him kudos.
And it was created out of nothing.
Yep.
So you picked and chose, but he really did.
Did a nice job.
Thank you. Yep, I'll share that.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, roll call.
All right, Mr. Default,
Yes.
Mrs. Story,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes. All right, next is the PK tuition schedule.
And the program's not one to flip there, but eventually it will. And it is, we assess how much we charge our parents for pre-K tuition. It's based on the poverty rate, and it's not going to let me open it up, but let's try that. You see it's thinking about it.
It would run slow, the attachments, the last thing to load. He's doing this earlier today.
They just update the system as well. I think
They did, but
it's something.
But really slow. It's very standard. Hopefully you've had a chance to review that. It's based into the poverty level, and we're just annually updating it.
Okay. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the PK tuition schedule as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right, roll call.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mrs. Story,
Yes.
Mr. Default.
Yes.
All right, treasurer's report and action items.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. We have A, B, and C, A and D are all minutes. And E, thank you. All minutes, busy month. Item F is approval of their financial reports. That's fine. Everything's on track, financial reports for May. 11th month of the fiscal year. We're running a little low on salaries and benefits, which is good. It's where we want to be. We did receive a big payment this year for some real estate taxes, this month I should say, which we'll see next month. So we're a little low on payments and earned revenue on the report, but it balances out the end of this month. G was acceptance of donations, which we're always appreciative of. Disposal, we have a small list of disposal items. Item J was for our insurance, property casualty insurance renewal. Not a big change there, a little bit of a nominal increase, but the same bells and whistles with that insurance policy. Item K is the approval of our final appropriations. I tweaked those to make sure we have appropriated enough money for all our grant money to be spent at the end of the year, and that's what we do with that appropriation. So nothing else really changed with those grants. About 5 or 6 of those will change. Item L is approval of the temporary appropriations for next fiscal year beginning July 1. So we have to have a board approval of the appropriations for money to be spent legally. So we do a temporary appropriations for July, and then later in the fall I'll do a permanent appropriations for him for you. So temporary is a much smaller amount, but just going so we can pay bills and pay our payroll and so forth. Item M is transfer of funds. We mentioned this earlier. We're going to ask the board to approve a $300,000 transfer from the general fund to permanent improvement this year. Instead of the $500,000 we normally do, we're going to set aside that $200,000 just in case we want to go with the energy project. If not, we can come back later and transfer the remaining $200,000. Item N is just a new fund we do every year. We need to create a new fund. So this will be class of 2027, believe it or not. So we created a fund for that for any activities, so student count activities they need. Yep. Item O is this confirming purchase order just for our internet services. We have a purchase order for that. It doesn't cost the board anything, it's just something we're later on everything. I feel like I missed something.
Did you skip I?
I skipped I, thank you. So I thought I is approval of the HCC contract. That's the services contract we renew every year. No new services, a little bit of an increase on those fees as well, but nothing new there. And there we go. Thank you, Mr. Miller. We're able to pull that up.
Yep.
And for emergency fund. That's all I have.
Is a transfer of funds 300,000 or 200,000?
It's 300. It is 300. Which we'll do in July. And that's all I have, Mr. Zimmerman.
Okay, it is recommended the Board of Education approve items 12A through item 12O.
So moved.
Mr. Wells,
I'll second.
Ms. Story. Any discussion? So we're approving the fund transfer, and then we'll have to approve this at a later meeting.
It gives us the option, if you guys would like to approve this,
Okay.
we'll have that 200,000 set aside to do that. If you choose not to do this at this time, then we'll just, at a later date, we'll approve the 200,000 separately, move that in the yacht,
Yeah.
to get it back to the 500.
And insurance renewal is pretty much flat from last year.
It is, there's a little bit of an increase in some of the premiums, but nothing, they're pretty nominal, as well as the HCC contract. So.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Yeah, roll call.
All right, Mrs. Story,
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Dufault.
Yes.
Okay, academic report.
Good evening. Last month, we presented for first reading our recommendations for our 2 new math programs. I haven't received any further questions in this past month, so tonight I'm requesting approval for the Bridges Math Program for K-5 and for the Envision Math Program for grades 6 through 12.
We're gonna do them separate motions.
Are we doing so all together?
Do it all together.
We can just do them all together.
And tonight we also have for second reading our 3 new graded courses of study, Advanced Horror and Literature, Financial Literacy, and Transition to Algebra. We're asking board approval for those 3 graded courses of study at the high school level.
Okay, upon second reading, it is recommended the Board of Education approve the following second reading for the math adoption grades K through 5th grade Bridges program, grades 6 through 12 Envision program, and then also the second reading of graded course of study for Advanced Horror and Literature, Financial Literacy, and Transition to Algebra. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
All right, a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
Just again, to give public accolades on the financial literacy, it's a real need, and I think the author did a really nice job of creating it. Hopefully it's something we can extend beyond the benefit of students in the classroom.
And also good work to the whole team that had participated in the math adoption. I mean, that's
Absolutely.
just didn't come about magically in the last month. It's a year-long process, so thanks to that whole team and everybody that participated. Anything else? Yeah, roll call.
All right, Mr. Dufault,
Yes.
Mrs. Story,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes. All right, communications report.
So as I stall for time while I walk all the way over there, I'm going to add to, in addition to the ceremony that takes place on Sunday, there's also currently a fundraiser going on. You can check out our Facebook page, and it has a link to the flyer where you can purchase a t-shirt for the family. If you order it by, I think tonight, it will be picked up. You can pick it up, I should say, tomorrow or at the ceremony on Sunday. That's the camera. That's okay. Okay. So, when I was up here last, I handed out an early draft of this. What you're holding now is the final draft. It is the brochure that we would like to hand out to people when we're out and about in the community, just to kind of give them an idea of who we are and what we do. The changes from last time, the very long fast facts section is now gone. It's just a quick little rundown of all of our buildings. And on the inside cover, on the right-hand side, is a little highlighting of what happens inside those buildings. Some of those pictures I took, some of them were submitted to me by teachers. The top one is from Mamma Mia, that's a great performance. The bottom one was from the career day, I believe, out at Locust Corner. So it's just a little glimpse inside of what happens in the walls while the parents are gone and they can't see what's going on all the time.
Nice.
On the back cover, all of the social media accounts are still listed, and the QR code that I mentioned is there now. That QR code will link to all of the accounts up at the top. It can also send you the contact information for the district, the address, the phone number, and as of about an hour and a half ago, it also links to Stay Safe, Speak Up, in case anyone has any reports that they want to make on there. So that is the brochure.
Right.
The only other thing I have, when I haven't been working on this little piece of paper, I've been running around our website. What I've learned about the website in the last month or so is that there are 132 pages on that website. Not all of them are easily defined, and some of them have been updated more recently than others. For instance, my personal page so far, Matt, there was one page where you were listed as both the treasurer and the technology director. So we're a lot of accidents. But basically what I've been doing for the last month is updating those pages. Things like the technology page right there, making sure that the staff titles and the emails are all linking to where they're supposed to go. Taking the technology model and making sure that it actually loads like it's supposed to, and kind of rearranging things on the page so they look a little bit neater. The same thing really with the food service page. I added the 2023 summer program there at the top, and just had a little placeholder for lunch menus when they come in for the school year next year. It's just little things like that that are all over the place, but when there's 130 pages, they all add up to be pretty big things. The biggest change is probably on the information and forms page, where if you had looked at it before, it was just a long list of buildings and words kind of running together, and now it's more spaced out so you can see anything with updated photos. There aren't any construction cones out in front of Locust Corner anymore. So it's just little stuff like that that kind of falls through the cracks of the day-to-day that I'm trying to clean up while I have the chance over summer.
Because it needs constant attention. 122 pages needs updating. It's easy to see how they would fall behind because so much does change here. Really nice. Thank you. Very nice.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, next item is adjournment.
So move.
Okay, any second there, Mr. Wells, by chance?
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Dufault,
Yes.
Mrs. Story,
Yes.
Mr. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes. All right,
Thanks, everybody.
thanks, everybody.
Thank you.